you know, we can't police the language, I've realized. The wisdom of years. We invented the word polyamory to describe a way of being that included sex, but wasn't just about sex. And I was told at the time this was hopeless by people older and more experienced than me. And I've discovered it's true. It's hopeless. I'm not the word police, and people are going to use the word polyamory however they want to mean whatever they want. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that, but actually, in a way, it's not a bad thing, because what it requires is that we be more self-reliant and discriminating. And so when you encounter a person, you know, whatever labels they're applying or not applying to themselves, people who are looking for what you're looking for, staying away from the poly community because of this kind of perception and experiences. And if anybody has any ideas how to relate to that, you know, please share them, because I sure don't.
Polyshaggery is the...
Well, I just want to say that there's also a place for that too. I mean, I think it's totally okay to say, you know what I want, what I enjoy out of you in this encounter is this great sexual energy, and it doesn't have to be more, it doesn't have to be less, it doesn't have to, you know, some people just want to have like a down and dirty thing, and I think that's okay, as long as you're mindful about it, as long as you bring that presence to your experience and you communicate that to other people. And I think what it sounds like is that that hasn't been well communicated, and there are some hang-ups in that communication string about, you know, what each thing means. If we're using polyamory to mean one thing in one context and another in another. But as long as you're honest about what exactly you want, one can feel free to accept or reject as your boundaries and your preferences allow. So I just want to say that the nice thing about this is that there's a lot of room for what everybody wants to do, as long as we continually bring that presence and that mindfulness to it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't want to make anybody wrong for wanting to experiment sexually. I sure did my share of it. It's just that, and part of the problem maybe is the abuse of the word community, which is becoming one of my pet peeves. Okay, to me, community is people that live within walking distance of each other. Network is often, I think, a more appropriate term for what people are calling community. When you live in community next door to somebody, you know what they're up to. You know, you don't need to use labels.
And so I think that the more conscious we can become and the more we can get away from forbidden, the more we start moving toward the fact that even if you try to go out and get laid, you might actually make connection with somebody. That if we can, you know, one of the big watchwords I had in writing Slut, that Janet and I had in writing Slut, was to avoid anything that says sex is only okay if. There are a lot of conditions in which sex is okay. Mostly it's that you feel like you want it that way. And the only time it becomes not okay is if you feel you're obliged to do something you don't want or being forced to do something you don't want. I mean, that's a fairly simple equation. I have a lot of faith in it in the sense that when we don't box sex off as some subset even of our spirituality, much less of our bodies, that we can become better at it, that we can become more honest, more open, having more integrity, and really, truly meet each other. I grew up in a culture where it was impossible for me to even be friends with a man. A number of times I've looked someone straight in the eye and said, are you going to want to be my friend if I don't want to have sex with you? And no one has ever answered that question for me. That's the culture we live in. I don't want to live in that culture. But what I believe is that the more we get away from forbidden, the closer we are to what is real connection and to the possibilities, the huge possibilities that we have of connecting with each other. So that's kind of where my principle is. Some people think Slut is the hedonistic book in all this. And after a sense it is. I want to be pleasure positive. I want to be about what feels good, how we make each other feel good, how we offer good resources of pleasure to each other. And I do believe that we will eventually all then become wise. And learn sometimes by hard experiences, but you know, I've had bad fucks and I'm still here, I'm fine.